Shalom, sons of Yahweh camp, right? Hebrew Israelites broadcasting from the Triangle, North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, right? Out here once again on the Sabbath, trying to reach out to the elect of the Israelites, right? Of the elect of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the Most High. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly calls Christ, right? Also, I want to say peace and blessings to the 12 tribes and woe to the other nations, right? So, just going to go through some verses, right? Looking at who are the Most High's people, right? Who are the Most High's people? Who are they today, right? How do you know? Why does it matter, right? And then what is the future of these people, right? So we're going to go through and touch on these topics, right? So let's start off by answering the question about who are the Most High's people. We can get that out of Exodus chapter 3 and 10, right? Because there's a misconception being propagated throughout the earth that God's chosen people is whoever believes on Christ, or just the Christian church, right? The Christianity Sunday morning church is who God's people are now, right? But you can't find a verse that says that in the Bible, and that's why I gotta push back on that, right? So let's get that Exodus 3 and 10.
Exodus chapter 3, verse 10. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
Right? The Most High's people, the children of Israel. Simple, right? So now let's look at the things that the Bible has to say about the Most High's chosen people, right? Give me Hosea 4 and 6.
Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children.
That's right. So, the Most High's chosen people, right? The children of Israel were destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? For one, what knowledge? That we're the Israelites, right? First and foremost, we don't understand, know, and believe that we are God's chosen people, the Israelites of the Bible, right? And that's a problem. But we're here to tell you that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native man, woman, and child from Negro descent on your father's side. So if your father is an indigenous man from so-called a so-called African American man, or if your father is an indigenous man from America, right? So-called America, or Central, North, South. I'm sorry. North, Central, or South America, right? If your father is a so-called Black man, or a native, or an indigenous man from that area, right? Then it's a high chance that you are from one of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. So now let's see one other thing that the Bible says about these chosen people of the Most High. Give me Jeremiah 4 and 22.
Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 22.
Right, because we know that the Israelites are the Most High's chosen people, but everything you see about them and read about them and hear about them is not all good, right? Which it should be, because these are the Most High's chosen people. So that means, as the Most High's chosen people, we got to do better. But let's get this about how one way we're described or talked about in the Bible.
Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 22. For my people is foolish; they have not known me. They are sottish children.
That's right. So we're foolish and we're stupid, right? We're sottish children because we don't know the Most High, right? That's what's adding to our stupidity, our lack of a connection, right? And I'm not talking about a personal relationship. I'm talking about the knowledge and understanding of the Most High that you get from reading his word, right? The Bible. Go ahead.
They are Sodom's children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge.
Right. So that's what's making us foolish, right? Because we're wise to do evil, but as far as what is the right thing that we should be doing as a whole, we don't have a clue, right? So that's why the remnant, right, of the Israelites who have been woken up by the Most High, we're out here on the highways and byways, right, in the teeth of Babylon, prophesying the downfall of America and also waking our people up to who they are, being the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? So now let's go to Deuteronomy, right, to see, right, how can these people be identified, right? How are the Israelites identified? Because, you know, there's no problem with the Israelites, right, and the Israelites being God's chosen people. There's no problem with that understanding until we say that the so-called blacks and the natives are the Israelites. Now there's a problem, all right? Well, let's see how we should, one way to identify the Israelites according to the scriptures, all right? Deuteronomy chapter 28, 45 and 46.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee.
Right. And this is talking about the Israelites, right? This is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, right? And this whole chapter is the Israelites being spoken to about, you know, what if you keep the commandments, and then what if you break the commandments? Go ahead.
And overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
Right, these curses, right? These curses are going to be upon the Israelites as a sign, right? And what does a sign do? A sign, it tells you what something is, right? Go ahead.
For a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Right. So if you are wondering to yourself, who could these Israelites be? The sign is going to be based on these curses, right? That's what this is telling you. Okay. So we have to read the Bible, particularly the so-called Old Testament, right? Because this is where you see the Israelites being cursed, right? Going through the curses. And that's important because this is how you identify who these people are, right? Now, you know, the members of Christianity that are so vehemently against the teaching of the Bible, right? That the Israelites are God's chosen people and that Christ was sent for the Israelites and died for the Israelites. I mean, they got a problem with that. But that's what the signs tell you, right? So now, let's go to Judith 5, 17, 18, right? To see some more about these Israelites.
Judith chapter 5 and verse 17. And whilst they sin not before their God, they prosper, because the God that hated iniquity was with them.
Right. And so, see, we seem to forget that part of our history, right? When the Most High was with us and everything was good, because in America they don't push that part of our history, right? They push the part where, part that we're getting ready to read about next, right? Let's bring that up.
But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
Right. See, that's the history that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are taught here in America. Only the latter part of those two verses, right? The part where we went off, right? We were breaking the commandments, and now we're being punished, right? So we're having to serve our enemies, right? And so when you ask your average so-called black, let's say teenager, right, today, about their history as a so-called African-American male or person here in America, they can go back to slavery, right? Because that's what's taught here through programming. But there we have a richer history than that, right? And we also have an even richer future, okay? So, read on. Oh, that was it on that, right?
Yeah.
Come on. Well, let's read 17 again, because this is the part that they harp on in the history classes, and really now they're trying to get away from this.
Yes.
Right? Go ahead.
Judas chapter 5 and verse 17. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
So yeah, well, I meant to say that's the part that they don't want you to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that they don't want you to know, that when the Most High is with you, right, we prosper as a nation, right? That's the history they want forgotten. They only want you to know about 18, right, where when we forsook the Most High and His commandments, then we got destroyed, right? They want you to live in that reality, right, and just in that moment in time, right? They want you to constantly dwell on that and stay in a docile state of mind, right? But no, the Israelites, the practicing Israelites, are here to wake you up out of that stupor and say, no, we're better than that, okay? You have more to look forward to than that. You have more to look back on than that, right? Our forefathers were mighty men of the Lord, right? They weren't just slaves. I mean, and if anything, they became slaves because of what the nation as a whole did or did not do, right? And talking about keeping the commandments. All right, so we're here to change the narrative. We're here to open our people's eyes up so that they might begin to realize what their requirements are as the Israelites, right? But first we got to get them to understand and believe and know that you are the Israelites of the Bible, okay? Contrary to what you are shown and programmed to see through media, all right? So now let's go on to Psalm 50 and verse 5.
Psalm 50 and verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
Right. So we're still looking at who are the Israelites today. Well, generally speaking, we know that the Israelites were those that made sacrifice with the Most High. Okay. So they're also called the saints. The saints are the Israelites, and the Israelites are the only nation of people that made a covenant with the Most High through sacrifice. Right. All right. So now let's keeping it moving. Go to Romans chapter 9, 4 through 5. Right. This is showing not it's talking. We're looking at who are the Israelites, but now we're also looking at what things pertain to the Israelites. Right. So let's get that.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 4. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption.
Right. So as far as the adoption, also known as the grafting in, right, or grafting back in, that pertains to the Israelites. Right. Go ahead.
To whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all.
That's right. So, yeah, Christ came to save the flesh of the nation of Israel, right? So, if those last verses are not showing you who the Israelites are, it is showing you that the Israelites are not everybody. And the Israelites is not any race and everybody who believes on this or that. No, it's a specific lineage of individuals that come from a man. Okay? It's not a spiritual thing as much as it is a physical thing, right? Of course, it's spiritual as well, but we're talking about, right? According to the flesh, right? According to the flesh. These are the Israelites. All right. So now let's look at why does it matter, right? Because that's going to be the next thing. If anybody hears this, oh well, you know, why does it matter, right? Because Christ came to save all nations, right? Well, that's not true, and so that's why it matters. Who the Israelites are matters because everybody is not God's people. Okay. So now let's get Deuteronomy 28, 1 and then 15. Okay. We're going to see why it matters about who the Israelites are, and then what the Israelites do matters as well.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
That's right. And now, briefly, before we go to 15, let's jump back to chapter 1 and verse 1, right? To see, because it says a lot of thee here, right? Let's find out, let's make absolutely 100% sure that we know who the thee is that we're talking about, right? The book of Deuteronomy particularly Deuteronomy, right? Let's get that 1 and 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. Right. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
Right. All Israel, not all the whole planet, right? Not all who was there. Even if other people were there, these words are spoken to Israel. Just the same as when we're out on the streets and we're teaching amongst all nations of heathens and our own people, but our focus, our target audience is that Israelite, right? No difference here. All right. So jump back to 15. Deuteronomy 28, 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
That's right. And see, now nobody will debate that the curses are on the Israelites, right? And nobody will argue that the so-called blacks and Hispanics and